Welcome to my next Lost. Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you are caught up to the point where I am at rewatch, you're watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen the TV show Lost 3 other times. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, top 5 for sure. But I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffin Man, who you see in my comment section for Lucifer, everything Dexter-related, Breaking Bad, and some physical media videos, is actually watching Lost for the very first time. So, join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome, amazing show. However, I don't want to see any spoilers past this episode in the comment section. So with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 4, Episode 8. The title of this episode is called Meet Kevin Johnson. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. Locke holds a meeting with everyone at the barracks to share information. Miles confirms to the people from the freighter are here for Ben. Sawyer suggests that they turn Ben over to the freighter people. Ben says that orders of the freighter people are to capture him, then kill everyone else on the island. Miles does not deny it. Ben mentions his spy on the freighter as Michael Dawson. Sayid and Desmond are awakened by a shrill alarm and run out on the deck to find Captain Galt had stopped 2 of his men from getting on the tender by beating them up. The captain tells the crew he didn't beat the men to scare everyone, but to save everyone's lives. He says that the crew should remember what happened to Brandon and Minkowski after they left the freighter. Galt instructs crew member Johnson to clean up the mess. Sayid approaches him to talk, and when Michael indicates it is not a good time, Sayid insists on learning why Michael was on the boat, and Michael answers, "I'm here to die." Miles mentions to Sawyer and Locke that Ben is a guy that gets what he wants. Ben persuades Alex to go to a location called the Temple with Carl and Danielle and tells her the rest of the others are already there. He provides them with a map. Ben tells Alex she is in danger because the people who are coming to the island will use her to get to him. They're more dangerous than Ben is. He assures her that her mother will protect them. Sayid and Desmond find Michael and Jeff, a mechanic, working in the engine room. The pair confronts Michael about why he is on the boat. Michael asks Jeff to get a valve and proceeds to tell his story about being Ben's tool. Michael, very distraught, sits in a rundown Manhattan apartment. This is a flashback of sorts. Scribbling furiously on a scrap of paper. He leaves the building, enters his car, and pins the message he just wrote to his lapel. He turns on the radio and accelerates down the road, and then going down a pier at a high speed and crashing head-on into a shipping container. Michael wakes up in the hospital room. A nurse enters and offers him an extra blanket, but when Michael looks at her, he recognizes her as Libby. Remember Libby from the Season 2, Two for the Road, where Michael shoots her and Ana Lucia? But he begins screaming and then wakes up and realizes his vision was not real. A nurse enters and explains that he was found badly hurt with no identification, only a letter addressed to someone named Walt. She asks if she should call Walt, and Michael shakes his head, no, too ashamed to make eye contact. Michael visits his mother's house and asks to see Walt, claiming that it is a father's right. She refuses, saying that Michael gave up his rights as a father when he returned after 2 months missing and refused to explain where he and his son had been, returning with false names and leaving Walt in her care. She adds that Walt has nightmares every night. She fiercely decreases that until Michael is willing to answer for what he did to Walt to scar him so badly, he has forfeited his parenthood. Distraught, Michael leaves and sees Walt through a window. Walt returns his gaze with a mixture of complacency and contempt. and shuts the blinds. So that scene with Walt wasn't actually new Walt. That was Walt from season 1 that they put in there because the actor that played Walt got really big, and that's why you don't see Walt much after season 1 or season 2 of Lost. Michael goes to a pawn shop and exchanges with the owner the Rolex watch Jin gave him for a gun and ammunition, and then stumbles into the back alley to commit suicide. Moments before he pulls the trigger, he is approached by a man asking for the time. Michael hides the gun from sight and begins to answer no, but it is Tom who emerges from the shadows, the one that, had Walt, we're going to have to take the boy from season 1. Michael attacks him, and the fight ends in a stalemate as both draw guns. Michael begs Tom to shoot him, but Tom doesn't want to. Tom has realized that Michael was driven to commit suicide because he lost his relationship with Walt after confiding in him about Libby and Ana Lucia's murders. Tom informs Michael that the island won't let him kill himself because Michael still has work to do, and that he will be in the penthouse suite of the Hotel Earl when Michael is ready to talk. And then a short while later in his apartment, Michael begins to try to shoot himself again, but the revolver misfires. As he raises the gun to try again, he is interrupted by a television news anchor reporting the discovery of the Oceanic Flight 815 wreck, confirming all 324 passengers dead. Confused, he goes to the penthouse suite where Tom is enjoying the company of Arturo. Tom asks Arturo to excuse them and gives him a kiss. So back early on in Lost, when Kate was going to take a shower and he said she's not his type, that is in fact true. Tom is a man that likes other men. So we find out confirmation here what that meant. Tom explains to Michael that the wreckage was fake, staged by a man named Charles Whitmore to keep others from looking in the right place where the real plane crashed, the island. Whitmore wants to keep the island for himself and will kill everyone on it if he isn't stopped. With Michael's help, Whitmore's freighter will be stopped and Michael's co-survivors on the island can be saved. Michael asks for proof, and Tom shows him a file with the documents showing graves in Thailand and a purchase order from Whitmore's company for an old 777 plane. Tom tells Michael he has a job on the freighter, and his alias will be Kevin Johnson, and then hands him a U.S. passport. Michael questions why he should go back to work for you people. Tom sells it as his only opportunity to redeem himself for what he did. He reassures Michael that he won't actually be going back to the island. His mission will be to get on the boat and kill everyone aboard. While boarding the freighter at port of Suva, Fiji, Michael meets Minkowski and Naomi. Naomi tells him that he received a crate and that would be delivered to his room. Michael/Kevin meets Miles, who says he knows that Kevin is not his real name, but doesn't pursue the theme further, saying 80% of the people on the freighter lie about something. Michael begins to have second thoughts about killing everyone on board now that he has put some faces with names, but a phone call from Tom reminds him to follow through if he wants to save the remaining survivors living on the island. This will be the last we see of Tom on the show. Michael tosses the phone in the ocean. So no more Tom flashbacks or flash forwards or anything. MC Gainey did a good job as Tom. I liked his character. I don't think he was really evil, even though there were points where they portrayed him as evil. But anyway, Frank Lapidus introduces himself to Michael. After Michael says he is looking for an adventure, Frank shares his belief that Oceanic Flight 815 records was a huge fake, similar to the way people believe the moon landing was faked, but real. Frank says that Charles Whitmore is interested in finding the real wreckage and discovering what happened to the passengers with the hope of rescuing them. Michael hears guns being fired. He goes to the deck and sees Omar and Kimi, amongst others, laughing while target practicing with the machine guns. Shocked to discover this, Michael says that he thought this was supposed to be a rescue mission, but Kimi only brushes it off brushes off the remark. Back in his room, Michael opens his crate and finds a case in it. He takes the case to the engine room and finds a bomb inside. Michael puts the combination for the bomb, but hesitates to push the execute button to set off the bomb. Suddenly, he hears the same Mama Cass song he was listening to in the car when he tried to commit suicide. He sees another vision of Libby, who tells him not to do it, and then disappears. Michael says, "I love you, Walt," and pushes the button. The bomb's 15-second timer expires, but the bomb doesn't explode. Instead, a flag pops up with a note around it which reads, "Not yet." Minkowski tells Michael he has a phone call from the mainland from a person named Walt. It turns out that Walt is actually Benjamin Linus, phoning him from his house at the barracks. Ben informs Michael there are innocent people on the freighter and that the plan was never to kill them all because Ben isn't that kind of person. He says that he gave the fake bomb to Michael to show that unlike Charles Whitmore, he does not want to kill innocents. Michael says Libby and Ana Lucia were innocent, and Ben tells him that he killed them, and he was never instructed to do so by Ben. And then Ben orders Michael to get him a list of everyone on board, report the list back to him, and then disable both the radio and engine so the ship cannot get to the island. Michael is obviously shaken up, but Ben tells him that he can now consider himself one of the good guys. Michael finishes telling his story. Saeed asks him if he is truly working for Benjamin Linus. Michael confirms this. Saeed grabs Michael and drags him into Captain Galt's room, revealing Michael's true identity as a sabotager, a spy, a traitor, and a survivor of Oceanic Flight 815. Danielle Russo, Alex, and Carl take a break. Sudden gunfire erupts from the jungle, and Carl is shot in the chest. Danielle Russo and Alex hide behind a tree and quickly decide they need to make a run for it. They get to their feet, but Danielle Russo is immediately hit by gunfire and falls to the ground, and Alex sits down, hiding behind a tree. After looking for several seconds at the movement amongst the grasses surrounding her, Alex stands up, puts her hands in the air, and yells, "I'm Ben's daughter!" ending this episode of Lost. So, a good episode. I can't remember if everybody's actually dead at the end here with Russo and Carl. I think Carl's dead. Russo might still be alive, but I honestly don't remember. So we'll have to find out in the next episode. But good episode in terms of who's in it for what we got. I'm going to give it an 8.4 out of 10. My character of the episode is Michael. I couldn't really give a secondary character of the episode because Michael was the main focal point. Maybe Ben or even Tom. Unfortunately, this is the last that we see of Tom. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this episode of Lost. You'll be interacting with me and the legendary Crazy Coffee Man. What's your score? Who's your character of the episode? If it's different than Michael, I'd be surprised. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Help me subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Join the team. Share your damn support and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.